Okay, good morning, everybody. It's 10:32 a.m. and I'm calling this regular meeting of the zoning administrator to order. Just for a heads up for everybody, the second item of today's agenda, which is a hillside development permit located at 3606 Tillmont Way, has received a request for a public hearing, so will be continued to a date certain of January 15th, 2026. So if you're attending to provide comment on that hillside development permit on Tillmont, that will be, like I said, January 15th. And planner Hartman is the planner on that and can receive any communications or questions about that item. So looking at the approval of minutes. So we're now looking at the May 1st, 2025 meeting minutes. Is anybody present and wishing to make a public comment on the May 1st, 2025 zoning administrator minutes?
I don't think we know anything about it.
Seeing none, I will close the public comment on those minutes and approve them as submitted. Now looking at the May 15th, 2025 zoning administrator meeting minutes. Any public comments on those minutes for the May 15th meeting?
Again, we don't know anything about that.
I'm seeing none, so I will close the public comment on that item as well and approve them as submitted. And finally, the draft December 4th, 2025 zoning administrator minutes. Anybody wishing to make public comment on those meeting minutes?
Could we hear the minutes?
Seeing none, and I will close the public comment on those on that item and approve them as submitted. Okay, so non-agenda public comment. We are now taking public comments on item 3, non-agenda matters. This is the time when any person may address matters not listed on the agenda, but which are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the zoning administrator. So if you're wishing to make a public comment on any item that is not being presented today, this is your time to provide a comment. If you are wishing to make a comment on the proposed community care facility, there will be a separate public comment hearing, public comment section for that item. But this is for the time for non-agenda public comments.
That's for Benjamin's Road.
Please, just as a matter of housekeeping as well, please do not engage in a question and answer back and forth with the zoning administrator. That's not necessarily the format of how these meetings are run. So non-agenda public comment. Is anybody wishing to make a non-agenda public comment? Yes, please wait for the timer to appear and you receive the go-ahead from the recording secretary.
Thank you, Connor and Mark. Janice Carmen, I'm a resident of Brinken Valley, and I'm particularly interested at the moment because there's been little done on the roads. And the road from Highway 12 to on Calistoga Road to Montecito is supposed to be in the queue to get done. It's got terrible potholes and it's kind of like this when you drive down it. It is a main thoroughfare and it connects us to Napa County. I'd also like to talk about the bicycle lanes in the east part of Santa Rosa. And this morning coming to work, there were 2 gentlemen on their bikes at the intersection of Yalupa and Sonoma Avenue. And they were having a hard time getting out of Sonoma Avenue from the left side coming toward town. And they had, outfits on for, they were serious bikers. They were older people though. And there are no bike lanes on Sonoma Avenue in that area. And we really need to have something done about the area where it directs the traffic better and can prevent accidents in that area. And then the other is Summerfield Road and Hone Avenue. Right now, that's going to be being reviewed. I'd like to tell you all tonight for for approval at design review meeting tonight at it's either 4 or 4:30. And that's a very busy corner. A child was killed there. Another was injured, as I understand. I didn't know the name of the injured child. And I am a Montgomery graduate. I still wear my ring. And I walked every day from Summerfield Road to Montgomery High School. The road behind Montgomery High School is done somewhat at this point, but there's an area of about 75 feet as you enter it from Hone Avenue. And it's very, very dangerous. It's got the creek on one side and the school on the other. And I'd like to see those roads addressed immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else present and wishing to make a comment on a non-agenda matter? Okay, seeing none, I will close the non-agenda public comment and move on to our statement of purpose. The zoning administrator is appointed by the Planning and Economic Development Director and has the responsibility and authority to conduct public meetings and hearings and to act on applications for minor or reduced review authority projects or entitlements. A determination or decision by the zoning administrator may be appealed to the Design Review and Preservation Board, Planning Commission, or City Council as applicable to the decision. All actions taken by the zoning administrator may be appealed within 10 calendar days. If the final day of the appeal period falls on a non-business day, the appeal period will be extended to the next business day. There are no zoning administrator reports or consent items, so we will be moving to our first scheduled item, which is a public hearing for the FAM Assisted Living project at 635 Benjamin's Road. Can we please have a staff report?
All right, thank you, Zoning Administrator McKay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hannah Michelson. I am the project planner for the FAM Assisted Living project at 635 Benjamin's Road. The project proposes a 15-bed community care facility that will care for the elderly. It will operate 24 hours a day with a maximum of 4 employees on a shift. Pursuant to the zoning code section 20-22-030, community care facilities with 6 or fewer residents or clients are allowed by right in all residential zoning districts, and community care facilities with 7 or more clients require the approval of a minor conditional use permit. This project is located within Rincon Valley in the northeast quadrant of Santa Rosa. And the project is there in blue with the arrow. This is a 0.43 acre parcel surrounded by residential on all sides. The project site is not within 300 feet of another community care facility, nor is it in an area of overconcentration of facilities. The parcel's general plan land use designation is very low density residential, and it's zoned RR40 rural residential. The general plan does identify senior citizens as an equity priority population based on characteristics contributing to vulnerability and or the likelihood of being underserved in areas such as environmental justice, equity, health, and safety. And the general plan also contains a program H-26, Housing for Senior Households, which directs the city to support the development of housing for the elderly, in particular those in need of assisted and skilled nursing care. This is just a little background on this parcel. Under California Senate Bill SB 9, qualifying single-family parcels, including those in the RR40 zoning district, can be subdivided into 2 single-family lots. This particular lot was subdivided as an urban lot split under SB 9 in July of 2023. And just some background on SB 9, it's a required ministerial review process, which means there is no public hearing or noticing required. All right, here is the Benjamin's Road site plan. And here you can see the 2 parcels discussed previously. The one in the gray striping in the front is the actual project site. The proposed single-family dwelling is 6,880 square feet. And the project does meet the required lot coverage setbacks, does not exceed height limit. The proposed single-family dwelling is single story, and the profile as seen from the street will not look out of place.
Yeah.
Additionally, these the project's 5 parking spaces, which are seen here in yellow, including one covered, comply with the zoning code requirements for a 15-bed community care facility, which requires 1 space for every 3 beds. Here's the floor plan. It's in the front, what you're looking at is the kitchen, the office, the breakout room, the restroom, the laundry, the salon, and then in the rear are the bedrooms, which range in size from 123 square feet to 160 square feet, and each bedroom will have its own bathroom. The project has been found categorically exempt per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, under guidelines section 15303, because it involves the construction of a single-family residence in a residential zone. It's also statutorily exempt per CEQA guidelines section 15183, in that it's consistent with the general plan for which an EIR was certified by the council in 2025. So staff did receive a number of comments on this project, which I was able to address with additional information and project documents, and no further issues were raised. Additionally, over the last few days, 6 further comments were received, which raised similar questions, including the list you see here, the type of care, traffic and parking, frontage, the lot split, fire, and as well as structure size. And I'd like to further go into the list here. So as mentioned earlier, the facility will be licensed by the state as a residential care facility for the elderly, RCFE. The residents will be older adults who need help with activities of daily living, such as bathing, grooming, toileting, medication management, meals, and general day-to-day support. The facility will not provide rehab, mental health treatment, or skilled nursing, and the staff will consist of caregivers, a chef, and an administrator. And as I said earlier, there will be no more than 4 staff on site at any given time. So this project was referred to traffic, who had no comments. They determined that it will generate less than 110 vehicle trips per day.
Can we please be respectful to the presentation? Thank you.
Because of the low level of traffic, the project does not require further traffic study, environmental study analysis. In terms of frontage and public improvements, the answer is yes, the project will require both frontage and street improvements. I mentioned the SB9 lot split, and that pursuant to state law, there is no requirement to notice the public or have a public hearing. It's a ministerial review, as long as it meets the qualifying conditions, which it did, hence its approval. The project was referred to and reviewed by the fire division and conditioned appropriately. And finally, this is a single-story structure, and the profile as seen from the street will not look out of place. It is surrounded by residential uses, and community care facilities with 7 or more residents are allowed with an approved minor conditional use permit. Thus, there are no unresolved issues as a result of staff review. The applicant has reviewed and accepted all conditions of approval. Staff analysis has concluded that all required findings can be met. It is recommended by the Planning and Economic Development Department that the zoning administrator approve a minor conditional use permit to allow a 15-bed community care facility at 635 Benjamin's Road. Thank you, and this concludes my presentation. I am happy to answer any questions. Additionally, the fire marshal is here should any questions regarding fire come up. The applicant is also here with a PowerPoint presentation and to answer questions.
Thank you. I'll hold off on my questions until we get it from the applicant. Are they present? Okay, thank you. Yeah, can we pull up the applicant presentation?
You'd like me to just be here?
Yeah, if you want to like stand or it's up to you.
Okay, I'll come up. Thank you, zoning administrator McKay, and also Hannah Michelson for the work that she's done on this project. I know there's a lot of people here. I know there's a lot of concern about this project, and I just want to address some of the concerns. We have Kim and Hao Pham here, who will be the owners and operators and also will be living on site.
Excuse me, who are you?
I'm Peter Stanley. I'm an architect and land use planner with Archeologics. We are the architects of record for the project. So there's been some concern about the size of the facility. We designed this facility to fit as nicely into the neighborhood as we could. It's a single-story building. There are two-story buildings within the facility. We're actually lower profile than the other buildings within the facility. We moved the smaller section of the building up towards the street. So the smaller section, which has more of the activity areas in it, which are the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen, and the places where people will congregate. We moved that to the front, and then the housing piece, which sits in the back. This is the residential piece. That's over 75 feet from the main road. You can go to the next slide. Hannah already showed this, but yes, it does fill the site from a setback standpoint, though. We are not asking for any variances on any of the setbacks. Any one of you could come in and do the exact same thing. These are your personal property rights. These are the private property rights of the FAMs. You can go to the next one. So we've designed this to fit into the neighborhood. There will be a lot of landscaping around it. We've pushed the parking to the back. We have landscaping in front. We have outdoor areas where the residents can congregate in between this community space and the residential piece. There's landscaping all around, buffering from the neighbor to this side. You can go to the next slide.
When you say landscaping on
Hey,
one
it's not a
side.
time for question and answer. We can ask questions during the public comment
After?
period. Yes.
Okay.
So this is the facility. I want to say that the Planning Commission unanimously approved community care facilities in these residential districts. They did it because there's an elderly population that doesn't have this option. These options are not available to the elderly. So they have large community care facilities, but people who are living in neighborhoods like you have the right to live in a neighborhood like this. The Planning Commission unanimously approved community care facilities within. The City Council unanimously approved community care facilities in residential districts like this. This project meets every objective standard laid down by the state of California, the city of Santa Rosa, the general plan, the zoning code, and the development standards for this district. We meet every single standard put in front of us. We understand that you think that this is a traffic issue, but is a bit ironic when I'm listening to you talk about how there's already a traffic problem in this neighborhood. That traffic problem was created by the residents who exercised their private property rights. The FAMs didn't create that traffic problem. If you see that as a traffic problem, that traffic problem exists already. This is a low impact.
What do you think?
None of these people drive cars, so we have the residents of the community who will come in.
Visitors.
So that is to say that they are simply exercising their private property rights the same way every one of you did. I'm going to have Kim come up and talk about the operation of the facility because I think it's important.
And please, just as a reminder, do not make loud disrupting comments. You will have an opportunity to speak your opinions. I just want to allow everybody the freedom to speak their positions, their opinions during the appropriate time so we can keep somewhat of a decorum and order in the meeting. Now the applicant is going to make a presentation as well.
Can I please just ask?
No,
how-
you'll have time
How
to
much
the public
time,
comment
how
period.
much time until the public comment?
Until
period?
after their presentation will be public comment.
I know, do you have any idea of the time? I
I'm
have,
sure it will be just a few
obviously,
minutes.
I'm on a limited time.
Yeah, just a few minutes.
Good morning. My name is Kim Pham and my husband and I are the
Can you
applicants.
speak up, please? We can't hear you over here.
Or come up to.
Yeah, come to the front, maybe here would be better from the middle,
All right.
but speak up so that we can hear, please.
Good morning. My name is Kim Pham and my husband and I are the applicants for the proposed project at 635 Benjamin's Road. I want to thank you all for taking the time to hear this item today. I wanted to briefly clarify what this project is because Hannah did mention it, but I wanted to clarify what this project is because I know that there's been some understandable confusion. So this is not a drug rehab facility, mental facility, or any type of treatment center. It's a small residential care facility for the elderly licensed by the state. So our residents are older adults, that need help with their activities of daily living. This project is single-story residential. It's a residential scale home designed to blend into the neighborhood and operate like a home, not a medical facility. So we don't provide rehab, mental health treatment, or skilled nursing or anything like that. Regarding experience, both Hal and I were licensed administrators, so we're trained and certified to operate a residential care home. I will be overseeing the daily operations full-time, so I will be there every day. And then we're also in the back house. So we will be.
Please do not.
Yeah, and Hal also brings over 2 years of experience as a firefighter and EMT, including extensive work responding to senior-related emergencies. We also have a strong family involvement in senior care. Several family members work in larger assisted living communities such as Sunrise and Atria, which help us bring best practices into a much smaller, more personal home-like setting. I also wanted to share why this type of housing matters to us. Not every senior wants to live in a large institutional setting, those big boxes. Many older adults do better in a small, familiar residential environment, one that feels like a home. So our goal is to offer a peaceful, dignified home for older adults in need of support and to operate as respectful members of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No further applicant presentation. Okay, let's just go to public comment. Would you,
Okay, if I
once,
start.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry.
once the timer is up and you get the thumbs up, please proceed.
Go ahead.
I'm Emily. Oh my gosh, I always do this. I'm a mom that just moved to the neighborhood about a couple months ago, with my 2 kids. I shouldn't have started. I'm actually like not against the project, but I'm worried. I'm terrified, in fact, of the traffic increase for my kids. There's currently not a sidewalk, and my kids will be learning to bike on that road. They will be walking to school every day on that road. The increase in traffic, as well as I don't understand how the amount of parking equals the amount of residents. I thought it was 1 parking space for every 3 residents plus staff. So that does not equal, 9 spaces. But more so, I'm just, I am terrified of kids getting hit on the street, as well as an increase of people around the kids. So obviously, I had a better speech prepared, but it's been a little bit of time. So I would really just like to hear more official traffic reports. I would like to see numbers of one done within the last 5 years, as well as more zoning reports that are, again, updated. Because when I was looking online, the numbers for the amount of cars doesn't seem like it's ever been reported within the last 5 years officially, like an official
It has.
report by the city.
It has.
Okay.
They did that on our street.
You have another minute and a half
Okay.
if you want to just.
Essentially, I would just really like to hear a lot more about what will be done to improve the neighborhood if you, regardless of a financial hardship. Because that doesn't, if you're going to be making money off of this facility, then you also have to be improving the neighborhood more than what's currently being planned as far as streets, parking, well, I would say street, sidewalk, use. That's not the best argument, but it's important to me.
Can you say your
you.
name, please?
Emily Silva.
Okay,
I would just like to add,
sorry,
oh,
if you guys want to just raise your hands and I'll just
All right.
make eye contact.
She
with
was
you and-
first.
Hello, my name's Elizabeth. We are on Benjamin's on closer to Spears and Middle Rankin.
Could you come
And-
closer?
One of my concerns is the lack of parking for visitors. If you're only doing 4 spots, how will visitors come? Because there's absolutely no street parking. I'll stand right here so everyone can kind of hear me. And the other thing is I am not fully against the facility. I'm against how many people can be there because all these senior citizens are going to be in a tiny room that's smaller than a hotel room. It's smaller than the rooms at a bigger care facility. And why aren't you offering a bigger size room for them? Because some people do, especially if there's 2 seniors who want to live together. Is that going to be doable for those sized rooms? Are they going to be able to have double occupancy in each room if a senior, a husband and wife or friends want to live together in one room, or is it just single occupancy no matter what? The sidewalks is also an issue. We lack sidewalks on that road. The road itself is not that great of a road. Multiple animals have been hit. Thankfully, no people have been hit. Living closer to Middle Rankin, we have seen, I can stand on my driveway and count at least 10 cars within 5 minutes when we're walking our kids to school. A majority of the traffic comes from Middle Rankin and not Montecito. So traffic is a big concern. When holidays happen, where are your visitors going to park? There's no parking besides the 4 or 5 spots that are already there. I don't have an issue with the facility being built. I think the size and how many residents you want to have in it is a concern, especially lack of parking, the quality of the road, the lack of sidewalks. There's a number of factors I don't think were actually thoroughly thought through before, even though the county or the city is saying that everything was thought thoroughly through, but there's a lot of other concerns. I could go on for many more minutes, but it's just, we're a newer family to the neighborhood. I know there's been a lot of families who've been there for 10 plus years, and I think it could fit in the neighborhood. I just think that the size of it needs to be reconsidered. More parking needs to be added. And yeah, I can go on, but those are my biggest concerns.
Thank you, Kate. Would anybody else wish to make a comment on this?
There was a survey done on Benjamin's within the last 5 years. From Montecito to Canyon, there are 300 cars a day that travel through there. We were concerned about the speed of the traffic, which actually often exceeds 50 miles per hour. So, to say that they're going to contribute another 100 cars a day from which end? It's even worse when you come from Middle Rankin. People that live down on that first phase off of Middle Rankin onto Benjamin's are plummeted, but the streets are in disrepair. The berm sidewalk is really insufficient, and there is not enough parking there. They're jamming this huge structure onto this 0.41 acre lot. I think it's going to look like a sore thumb. It doesn't look like anything in the neighborhood except maybe Benjamin's Court. It's a very rural neighborhood. It's a very mixed neighborhood. The houses vary from, a little tiny, our house is just 1,000 square feet to massive homes. It's not gonna fit in.
Good, thank you.
Boy, this is kind of weird, but anyway, though, welcome you guys. You guys were neighbors. This is a residential area, which is kind of nice. You can see all the ones that participate. I raised a grandchild, my daughter, taught him how to ride a bicycle down the road. That's a big hooray. I mean, if you could ever done that, a big accomplishment. Anyway, though, 351 students go to Binkley, where my daughter went. And I've lived there for 42 years, 42 years. I've worked hard to be where I'm at. This is residential. Is this going to be a profit-making facility for profit? We're not there for profit. We live there. We're living it. You know, just a little bit of money here and there. And I say hi to everybody. I don't even know who I'm saying hi to, but they're friends. They're almost like family. So the school is busy from 7 to 9 o'clock, from 1 o'clock to 3. That's 351 children. That's documented through the school district. And then we have more after that, of course, from 7 at night, maybe to 10 slows down, then the party people come through and they haul ass through there. It's a racetrack. I live 488. It's right on the bend. I can see to my right. I can see to the left. I can be a good spy. It's not just one direction. I see them. And dogs have died there. Cats have died there. I've had a couple cats. I'm not a cat person, but my daughter's cats died there. Dogs, they've been hit down the road and people take off. I have a wraparound driveway. They come in, miss the turn. Bang, my well got knocked over. Who pays for that? Help me, help me. Well, I fixed it. But that does happen because it's the only wraparound on that corner that people can make the mistake of making the wrong turn because GPS is incorrect. They come in my driveway and I let them go. But then also I park my car in odd positions so people kind of say, hey, this guy's nuts. And I am. I'm the one that throws the ball out in the street with my dog and tease people. I challenge them to run over my dog. It'll never happen. But anyway, though, it's too much. Too soon. It's residential, non-for-profit area. We love what we've got. We've got our gardens. We've got good neighbors. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
Good timing.
So I'm Rich Gardner. I live at 648 Benjamin Road. And some of the things that are talked about, like the speed, is very true. People race down that road. I'm in the middle, so I get the speed from both ends. People are using it as a shortcut to get them out of Cito, and they blow through there at 70, sometimes 80 miles an hour. It's crazy how fast they'll go. Not that that makes any difference with what you're talking about. I'm just letting you know some speed bumps or something would be really nice. The other thing I was listening to when he said there was parking in the back, that's a separate parcel. So I don't know how they could have parking in the back, because if that parcel ever sells, that parking goes away. And this was already touched on too, about the 4 spaces in the front. When 4 people are going to be there every day, where do those people park? And who gets to park when they come to visit, when the 4 spaces are already taken every day? And you said there's going to be 4 people there every day. So parking is way inadequate for the number of spaces that they're going to have, the number of rentals or whatever the living is going to be. And then it's going to be a huge change from rural residential 40 to this use, which is going to put 15 people into a space. Even though the facility is fairly large, it's just a huge change in the zoning, and I don't see that as being appropriate. So I would say, trying to relook at that zoning. I don't care about all your state laws. What I'm concerned about is how all the neighbors here feel about it. And that should be part of your concern too, not, push it through because the state says it's okay. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm curious about how this differentiates from a board and care home, because there are a number of those on Calistoga Road. I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention. And as I understand assisted living, the people that are living there mostly have their own cars, their own vehicles, and they're ambulatory. Farina, all those places, they all have their own cars. Are all these parking spots going to be just for residents? Are they going to be for visitors? There's not enough parking there. And also there's no street parking. There's no curbs, there's no whatever. And the gentleman that spoke about, I don't know where he went, spoke about the traffic on Benjamin's Road. I live at the corner of Benjamin's Court and Benjamin's Road. And they start on Montecito and they rev their engines and they come down that street. And sometimes I worry that they're coming through my fence and into my bedroom. So if there's more traffic, it's a big issue. And the road is not very good. And if there's delivery trucks coming and tearing up the whatever surface there is on the streets, it'll be a big issue as well. And also, I went through a lot of process to put in an ADU in my backyard. And I have a limited amount of space that I could put it into. I don't understand how this big of a facility could be put in. 6 units, I don't care about. 15 units, I think is way too much. It's the density, the traffic in the single family neighborhood. And the issue about board and care, I don't understand. So if somebody could illuminate me, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like she just mentioned, I live directly in front of this project.
Your name?
Isaac Marscall. I live directly in front of the project, and we recently had to redo our property, the building, the structures on our property because they were red tagged. So we had to get rid of our washing room. So now because of that, we have to use the laundromat, right? But now the city's giving us a hard time to get our permit to get this done. While these guys get to build this just like that. We've been living in the neighborhood for it's about to be 2 years. It's going to be 2 years. Barely hearing about this. What's up with that? I don't understand that. He's talking about the traffic. That's traffic. That's people that live there. That's people that live on the street of Benjamin's. That's not. I don't even understand why he's bringing that up. So, again, this is for profit in a residential neighborhood that isn't for profit. We're just regular neighborhood. The street can barely fit 2 full-size vehicles. Every day when I come home from work, there's kids walking, there's kids on their bikes. I move over the side for them every time. I'm not trying to hit them. Obviously, no one's trying to hit them. But every time, the street's barely big enough. So how are they going to bring their emergency vehicles when construction happens? How are they going to do that? I can't even fathom to think how they're going to do the flagging for that road when they have to do construction. It's just not being thought about. It's just getting pushed. You're not thinking about the people here at all. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I live at 644 Benjamin, across the street from it. I have a problem too with it because my brother was in a care center, memory care center, and ambulance is there every day. Okay, and it's gonna be there. Every time an ambulance goes up and down that road, everybody's gonna have to get off. And just like he said, there's no place for them to get off the road to. They come in my driveway, they turn around all the time, they park there, UPS does it. It's gonna be, and my grandkids, we walk them to school every day. That was my granddaughter. I don't want it. And I personally fix the holes in the street. I go down through there, I own a small construction company, 4 or 5 guys. And when I have extra asphalt, I go down the street and I patch the holes, okay?
Thank you.
And I do it for everybody up and down the whole street because that street has never been, I've been there 22 years. That street has not been worked on. The county used to come by and patch it once in a while. Then the city took it over. It has not been maintained at all. And the curb and gutter down through there where the sidewalk is rolling over. You got cracks 2 to 3 inches where the kids walk up and down through there. So they can't ride their bikes there. They have to ride it in the street. And just like the gentleman said, there isn't room for 2 cars. And perfectly right there at Benjamin's Court, you either have to slow down and get over for the cars to get in. Well, if a fire truck comes through there, how's he gonna get through there if a car's coming down the road? And the ambulance is gonna get there? If they're turning around for them out there? No, everybody's gonna park in the road.
Thank you.
My name is Fred Seidel. I'm a local resident living at 620 Benjamin's Court, and I request that the minor use permit be denied for the FAM Assisted Living Project. I'm opposed to this 15-bedroom community care facility for the following reasons. One, this facility is higher density than allowed by local zoning. That's my claim. The local area is zoned RR. The California Health and Safety Code 1566.3A requires a 6 or less unit community care facility to be considered a single family dwelling, not run for profit, but no such provisions exist for more than 6 units. This 15-unit facility has multiple families and does not qualify as a single family dwelling, and thus violates the general plan land use rural residential, very low density zoning of 0.2 to 2.0 housing units per gross acre. Number 2, the proposed on-site parking of 5 spaces is insufficient. Benjamin's Road and the nearby cul-de-sac in which I live have very limited on-street parking. This facility will negatively impact parking in the area, and it does not meet the on-site parking requirements as identified in Table 3-4, Title 20, Division 3, Paragraph 2036.040, which requires 1.5 parking spaces per 1-bedroom unit. And for a 15-bedroom facility, that would total like 23 on-site parking spaces. 5 spaces might serve a single-family dwelling, but 5 are woefully inadequate for this 15-bed facility. 3, traffic will increase on an already busy country road. Benjamin's Road is a narrow 2-lane road. It's part of the roadway used as walking lane, and there being no sidewalk. I walk the road every day. At times, traffic is heavy, particularly with Binkley Elementary School traffic, and I do not wish to have additional traffic to dodge from residents, guests, staff, and external services. 4, the business use is inappropriate for the neighborhood. This is my subjective opinion. But a 15-unit commercial business will not blend into the feel of our very low-density neighborhood. I also note that there is already a group home less than 750 feet away on Spears Road. And final comment, I likely would change my opinion if this facility were reduced in size to no more than 6 bedrooms, such that no MUP would be required. And as a separate request, please ensure that any outdoor lighting uses low cutoff angle luminaires to avoid increasing the night sky light pollution. I like looking at the stars. And thank you for your considerations.
Thank you. Yes.
Janice Carmen. I live in Rincon Valley. I also ran for city council, and I'm interested in city council still. I also agree that the parking is a real issue, and I've been at a lot of meetings recently, including the one for Summerfield Road and Yaluka, or Hone and Summerfield. There's a care facility there. It's formerly my house. My parents built that house. So I've also had quite a lot of experience with older people, and I would have liked to have seen the fire department address during this presentation the evacuation for the people in this home. During the first fire, I spent 2 weeks in the shelter. And I was there, I was sort of the official, like a Walmart greeter, trying to keep the people just like feeling okay that their houses didn't burn down in Oakmont, because as they were coming in, everybody was just in such bad shape. But the neighbor, my next door neighbor, was 103. And I know the efforts that it takes to help older people and prepare them to do something, even just to get their mind into what you're doing, because they become frightened. And the other is I'm very familiar with the site. My mother also died at like 94, and she had a friend there. I've seen this. I'm familiar with Benjamin's for over 40 years, and I went reviewed the site, looked at it, and I do also realize that we need the home facilities. We really do. And I realize the housing problems are challenges in Santa Rosa. But I also know that the parking and the street issue is a huge one. And I think that there should be some infrastructure improvements on Benjamin's Road. And then you bring this back. I think that it's a good project. And I also think that the person that's doing the project should have some investment in the infrastructure before they're able to start on it. The trucks that are going to be at this project are going to weigh in the thousands of pounds. They're going to be there for an undecided amount of time until they can get the project done. You're going to be putting up with that. And the sidewalk and bicycle lanes, horrible issues. And so being able to build all the way up to the edge of the property, even though I was there for the general plan as well, and I was also for the first general plan. So I'm quite familiar with it all, and I know how it's changed, but there are some mitigating circumstances that should be addressed. And we don't want any more dead children or dead animals or, you know, people that can't get out and they burn down in the facility, these kinds of things. But otherwise, I think the design looks good. I think that it should be scaled back, as this gentleman has said here, not necessarily to 6, but maybe to 10. And I know that the parking is at 1.5 per facility, or however it works out. But there should be more than 4 or 5 visiting parking.
Thank you.
My name's Nick Allen. I'm a professional civil engineer that lives on Benjamin's Road as well. There's some comments by the architect addressing the conditional use permit that
I can't hear you from where you are.
There's some comments by the architect trying to address the conditional use permit questions that I think weren't adequately answered. Looking at the architectural rendering in the site plan, they're using landscaping to help show that this project will fit into the neighborhood, but I don't think they've really looked at the civil side of that question yet, how much swales or water retention they'll need in the land that'll affect that landscaping. It appears there's a lot of hardscapes, a large building on the property that takes up a majority of the site, and they're showing asphalt for the driveway currently. So I don't think the landscaping's been thought through all the way, and I don't think that should be an adequate answer for how it fits into the neighborhood. I'd like to reiterate the parking topic where they have 4 or 5 spots planned for a unit that will have up to 4 workers daily. And one of the comments was that these people are not driving, but they will still have visitors and will still need parking for those visitors, which isn't addressed right now. Those are the main 2 points that I wanted to bring up. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah.
My name's Mike Ferry. I'm at 640 Benjamin's Road. I've been there 13 years. Coming up, this project does not fit this neighborhood. We are single family homes. This is not a single family home. This is 15 units. Yes, there is no parking. There's 5 units there. One of them is a disabled spot. So now there's 4 parking spots there. There's no parking on the street. To that fact, the traffic is insane. And everybody's mentioned the traffic, and I'm going to talk about the traffic. People race up that street 80 miles an hour. That street is from the stop sign of Canyon to Montecito is less than an 1/8 mile long. They fly down it. The moms that go into school in the morning between 8:15 and 8:30 is crazy. I've called Santa Rosa PD to have them do radar. None of that's happened. In the afternoon, it's crazy. I'm neighbors with Rodney. I had to put up cones in my driveway because people come around, they miss their address. They use our driveways to flip around in. The parking and the traffic, what about the water? What's going on with the water aspect of it? We're all on wells. 15-unit house, if you're going back on a well, that's not gonna be good for our neighborhood. If you're going on city water, then that's fine, but you still got 15 beds in Santa Rosa was in an area of water issues anyway, and they wanted to put in an extra well in our neighborhood that we fought. This does not fit our neighborhood. We're all single family, 15 beds. It's not a single family home. 6 beds is getting closer, but it's still not single family. You're saying it's gonna be 100 cars, 100 vehicles on the street more. Do a traffic study. The 100 is a high number for what we're getting. You're gonna increase us into the 300, 400 cars a day. What about the construction trucks coming up and down the street?
Supplies.
Then the supplies and the weight and what's gonna happen to our roads then, and it's gonna be coming in and out. That's about all I have to say. It's just, it does not fit the neighborhood.
Thank you. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Doug Smith. I'm a relatively new neighbor to the area. I live on Benjamin's Court, just around the corner. And I'm not in favor of this particular project going forward. I'd like to reiterate what everybody has said about the traffic and about the parking, especially. One question that I had, which I can take later on Hannah's presentation on her sheet number 9 there, she said this was set up, unless I missed it, as a single family residence. Well, 15 into single family, I'm not sure fits. I'm a retired engineer, and so I've got a lot of questions about that. The traffic issue, there are times of the day when there is very, very heavy traffic on Benjamin's Road. There are some times when there's very, very light traffic on Benjamin's Road. I was fortunate to have lost my wife about 1.5 years ago to a disease in the Alzheimer's family. We needed to have hospice folks come to visit her at the care facility, which was a 6-bed residential facility in Kenwood, not in Santa Rosa. So I'm not sure how the laws differentiate there. But there was much more parking for that 6-bed facility than there is planned for this 15-bed facility. And there were times when that was not enough. If there's going to be 2 caregivers there at all times, and a chef, and the principals here, they would naturally, I'm sure, park where they park right now, near their home in the back, which is fine, but that still really effectively only leaves 1 person there, or 1 parking space for the full load of people that they're proposing that we bring forward with that. That's not nearly enough. You do have people who come over to visit these people. I visit Kathy every day. We had lunch together. There were nursing folks, not necessarily skilled folks, hospice care people, many other people who, if you go into a residential care facility like this, sometimes you need additional care as time goes on. Those people need to be planned for also. And I don't see where this has been the case. Benjamin's Road, well, the traffic issues have been noted. There's an area on Benjamin's Road between Benjamin's Court and the stop sign, the next traffic control intersection down the way there, where it's not even wide enough for a center line. If there was room for a center line on the road, there would be there. But that's an example of how poorly set up Benjamin's Road is for this particular type of facility. So it's a good idea. It's a good facility. It's wishful thinking to put it into this neighborhood, and I won't reiterate any of the other comments that the people have made about the character of the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm Lisa Seidel, and I'm at 620 Benjamin's Court. We've been there 27 years, and I appreciate and support all the comments about the lack of parking, the traffic. I don't need to restate that. I do feel that the earlier woman's comment about the facility not accommodating couples or, partners is a very valid one. Since, many of our elders are in that situation. The other thing I was wondering about is pets and whether the facility is going to encourage pets or allow pets. And I know I have frequently seen, loose animals on Benjamin's Road, and that impacts the traffic and, people, trying to find the owners and all that kind of thing. And I don't see in the landscaping any fencing or anything that might accommodate pets. And that's a question I have. And we really haven't heard much about the fire evacuation. We heard it was appropriate. However, I was thinking about our wildfire evacuations, and I know that there were seniors with pets on Benjamin's Road, and during the evacuations, that was a very difficult thing for them to accomplish, their evacuations. And we certainly heard in the news about the senior facilities where the evacuation did not have enough staff, and where to go, and residents ended up saving the neighbors. So I do question that, and the plan for that was 15 elderly people. And then the vehicle question also came up, that they won't have vehicles. Is that going to be a screening criteria that they do not have cars? That's it.
Thank you. Yes.
I have a question. Are they only elderly people? Because it just says assisted living facility. It doesn't say anything about senior.
Yeah, so if you want to ask all your questions and make all your comments, you'll have the full 3 minutes and we can respond to those subsequently.
Go for it.
Yes.
Aren't they doing that
Stand up
now?
and do it.
Yeah, so just say everything that you'd like to say and then.
Okay, I'd like to know if they are seniors or not. It's not mentioned in the paperwork. Why does it say that it's a single family residence when it is not? When are we does this mean to do anything for us? What was the purpose of this? Are our comments gonna be heard? Or is any changes gonna be made? How will we know any of that?
Thank you. We will respond to the comments after, the staff will respond to the comments after public comment. Anything else? Yes.
I haven't, Carol Belkey, I'm also on Benjamin's Road, obviously. I wouldn't probably be here. I would have been someplace else. My concern is the likelihood, I didn't see any space for people to exit the building, take in fresh air if they were a resident. I leave the house every day. I go outside. These are 15 people that are held captive, so to speak, in their little cubicle that's smaller than a college dorm room. Don't quote me on the sizes and whatnot. I'm also concerned about, can you imagine doing laundry for 15 people? How often do you do it? Once or twice a day? Where's the water coming from? Don't water your yards, pull out your trees, take your lawns out. We don't have water in the city of Santa Rosa. We don't have water in California. I am not saying that residential care is not needed for seniors. I think 15 beds under a single family classification is ludicrous. And I'm sorry to say that I live in the city of Santa Rosa, because it seems that you've thrown common sense to the winds.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to make a comment?
Yes, please. So my name's Jay Giles. I live at 623 Benjamin's Road, which is directly next door to the south of this proposed project. I have lived on my 0.83 acre property for 27 years, raised my kids there, got my grandkids out back now riding motorcycles. This is why I bought that property, so that I bought a property in a low density residential area for that reason, almost 30 years ago. I'm still not retired, but I'm planning to be. And this, considering this a single family home, is the biggest stretch that I've ever heard of. It looks like a kennel behind a house is what it looks like.
True.
That looks out at a fence 5 feet away. So 8 of the units look at a fence 5 feet away, which is less than that concrete wall from this glass here. Okay. What they're considering the backyard, the patio space with the the picnic tables and all that's shown in the pretty picture, that's all my property, right up to their concrete. It doesn't make any sense that something that large, if you went down our street and took a picture of every single house on this street, nice, cute, little residential homes, families that are all cute, landscaped, nice, and then this. It doesn't belong there. It certainly doesn't belong in between two residential properties, nice, large properties. I'm sure my neighbors, Lindsay and Kyle, they have young kids. They like having their property. They, have it for a reason. Because that's where we bought, in a low density residential area, not to have it split in less than half an acre and cover the whole thing with a 7,000 square foot building, commercial building. It makes zero sense to me, zero sense. And the design does not fit with the neighborhood at all. One of my biggest concerns is it going to be on city water? I know there's a well there now. Is it going to remain on a well or be on city water? That's one of my questions for you here today. The construction, the length of construction, okay? I know how, and we've talked, we've been friendly. My wife and I were subjected to over 2 years just on remodeling the back place, okay? The house in the back of that property. More than 2 years to finish the construction. And when we go out in our backyard, there's no fence. There was no fence built. We're looking at the side of this big white house that doesn't match anything around, which evidently this other building is going to match that building, which doesn't match anything around. I'm wondering, how long is this construction going to take?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Would anybody else like to make a?
My name is Lindsay Lawson, so I live directly to the right of the project if you're facing the facility. And it's a facility. It's not a single. I don't care how you want to list it. It's a facility. That's a business. And 15 beds is a facility. I mean, this is a massive, you're talking triple the size of what all of our standard homes are along that route. We talked about the traffic and everything. Since I've been there for about 12 years now, we bought back here. I have had someone smash their car into our culvert. There was a reason, they had their car literally in there. They blew out the axle and the front end. 6 months past that, and I can list out starting all of them. In front of Jay's place, there's, power lines and power poles and everything. Right in front, there was a teenager that came from Rio Creo High School within a mile of this facility. They smashed their car, totaled the car in front of that telephone pole, which is in front of this proposed facility. I had come home from work. I work at the hospital. So I pulled over, asked if they were okay, if there are any injuries and stuff. That is my job. Okay. I can't stress to say the amount of traffic. How about 10 o'clock at night? All of a sudden I hear a huge bang right in front of our driveway. There's a dead deer. A person had just smashed into one of the many deer that I'm sure you guys have all seen around there. There is a pack of them. And they all go through our backyards and stuff. They go to our front yards and stuff. And then, the sheriff came and had to put it out of its misery. This is at 10 o'clock at night. So you have from all hours that, you have your peak hours, you have the AM, you have the PM. What about the kids at the school that are trying to walk home? I don't know how many kids are walking up and down that street with their parents, everybody. I mean, parking is an issue as well. You guys had put in that it is standard that they have to. Hannah, I know that you put in one of your letters, they have to put in, sidewalks and they have to make improvements. I want everybody to know he appealed that. They appealed for that. Okay. I'm not saying it stood or anything like that, but they appealed for that. So they didn't want to put the extra. So everybody should know for the last 2 years that well, 2+ years that he's been talking to myself and my husband, total friendly. I'm talking friendly, okay? Because he is super friendly. He's friends with multiple fire people that I know. And you know what? It's so funny because he never mentioned this until I got a letter in the mail. That is how I found out. Like, what kind of person does that? I mean, the lack of transparency is enough to make someone feel so violated. I'm violated right now. Angry.
I agree.
Thanks.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to make a public comment? We generally don't return and have multiple comments from the same person.
So we can't have it.
But if anybody else would like to make a comment, yeah.
I think he's looking at you.
Oh.
Hi, good morning. My name's Annie Pham. Support this project. I've over 15 years experience working at big box assisted living facilities throughout the Bay Area. I worked as a med tech and a caregiver, supervising over 100 residents. I know one of your concerns is worrying about having a lot of traffic because I think families would visit their loved ones daily, but what you think is complete opposite. Unfortunately, through my experience, I have seen numerous residents not only struggle with immobility issues, but also have struggled with feeling abandoned from their families. If their families never visit them or not enough, many residents would tell me their kids never come and visit them. And when the families did come to visit, it was only on holidays. And even then, it's usually just a few people. The traffic from this care home would be about the same as any normal home having visitors during the holidays. Another one of your concerns I want to address is the frequency of 911 calls. When I was working at assisted living facilities, I was the person responsible for calling 911. Most of the 911 calls are from residents falling. Out of the 100 residents I supervised, I only needed to call 911 once every few months. Compared to big box assisted living facilities, this project will only have 15 residents. Caregivers will be able to have more one-on-one time with each resident. This closer attention helps prevent falls and accidents. So the likelihood of needing emergency services will be much lower than bigger facilities. Seniors are a vulnerable population of people. Not only do many struggle with immobility issues and feeling abandoned from their families, through all the years I've worked with seniors, I was told by many residents the care staff was their family, and that they felt so thankful to live in a community where they felt so much support from the care staff. I strongly support this project because it's a resource that seniors depend on every day to live with the respect and comfort they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to make a comment? Yes.
Hi, my name is Rodney. I've lived on Benjamin's Road going on 29 years. As you can see, the room is full of angst and really want to speak out against this project. And I think the main reason is all of us bought on Benjamin Spears Island because we all have a little piece of land, and it's kind of like living in the country, but in the city. And that's, if you ask any one of us, that's why we bought there. And now you want to put a 15-room commercial business, basically, in our little residential country feel. You're taking away that. And none of us are against care facilities. It's just that they should be put in the right place. To put one in our neighborhood is just simply wrong. I think at the city, I know that there's state laws and everybody has okayed this already, but I think if the city and you pass this, what you're essentially doing is giving everyone in this room the middle finger, saying that you don't care what we think or what we say or how we feel. And if you go through with this project, it's totally against all of us. And I think if you want to build something there, just build a regular single-family home, keep it the residential area that we have. And everyone would be fine with that, not this 15-room commercial business. That's it.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, I kind of want to echo a little bit of what Rodney said from a different perspective. Some years ago, I flew down from Seattle to the Oakland airport and I came along and across, I think I recognized going over Hillsburg Square, but then beyond that, we flew over the Benjamin Spears Triangle and I could recognize it because there's no other place like it on the whole east side. You go to St. Mary's, you've got 8 Parade, or you go north of Montecito, you've got a different thing. And so I would say it is a very unique kind of setting. It's interesting to me that I do the walk from Benjamin's to Spears and all around, and the facility for women that's over on Spears that they built is kind of the opposite in a way. It's very, very spacious. I think they bought the land all the way over to Middle Rincon. My wife and I would joke about it after it was in. We had concerns before it went in, and then we would joke and say, call it the Playboy Mansion, because it looked, just really inviting in a way. But part of it is because it's on a couple acres of land rather than squeezed into a land. So I would say it's a good project, but it's too much in one place. And if
In the wrong place.
I could see if we had to compromise that 2 things would really help. One thing would be to create overflow parking for the project somehow in back or wherever they could on some part of the property. And the other that would really help a lot of people's concerns would be speed bumps or something like it along Benjamin. So we just came down the whole traffic. Okay.
Would anybody else like to make a comment? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Rick Yucatel. I've been in my place for about 37 years. And I'm one house away from it. And to hear them say without laughing that it fits in with all our homes. My home's about 100 years old and it's 1,500 square feet. I'd say the average home on the street is around that. To say a 7,000 square foot commercial building fits in, I mean, if you think we're idiots, I guess that would fit in pretty well. And my concern about the driving, I just yelled at someone yesterday, speeding down the road. It's all the time. There's enough room for 2 cars and that's it. The water situation, if they have to put in a well, that's ridiculous. We've already fought about having a well put in. If anything, they'd have to bring water down. The whole idea is that he's proffering to make money. I don't know this guy. All I've heard about him is how much he's lied to the neighbors about what was going to go in. He was lied to both side neighbors saying, oh no, it's never going to be anything more than a 3 or 4 bedroom house. Don't worry about it. It's all fine. And this is what he does. So he'll never be trusted. He'll never be accepted in the neighborhood. That's a fact. All we're going to ever do is look for different violations that he does so we can turn him in. That's going to be constant. It's just going to be a nightmare. And the whole idea that he's just making profit, anyone that fit 15 rooms to a building that size, they're in it for strictly profit. They're dropping the values of all of our properties around, which I know you guys don't care about, but that's our livelihood. I'm sure if it was next to any of your houses, you'd feel different. But he's making a profit off the neighborhood, and that's all he's there for. He's not there to be a good neighbor. It's strictly business. And that's not what we need in our neighborhood.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to make a comment? Okay, one last chance for anybody to make a public comment that has not yet spoken.
You can if you want.
Okay, then I will close the public comment. So yeah, I heard laundry list of questions and kind of outstanding information requests. So I don't know if you want to just start off addressing them line by line and I can compare, or if you want to have the applicant start, it's up to you.
All right, let's see, line by line. They may not be in the same order as yours.
That's fine.
There was questions about public street improvements, as well as a mention of the applicant having applied for a variance. for those improvements. That is true. The variance was denied, or the request, the appeal of the variance, sorry. The applicant appealed the variance and it was denied. So it's been upheld. So there are public street improvements required. This is in the Exhibit A. Those include, an applicant can perhaps, discuss further if they'd like to, but those do include, I'm reading from the resolution. That's part of the agenda packet. Exhibit A. Benjamin Road shall be improved as an avenue. Half-width street improvement shall include 1 10-foot travel lane, 8 feet parking lane, a 6-inch height curb and gutter, 8 feet wide planter strip, and a 5-foot wide sidewalk. And I'm so sorry. Let me share my screen.
Who's making this decision?
Sorry, let's not ask questions at this time. We can.
Sidewalk people are gonna park on.
Please speak loudly when you're presenting.
People discuss.
Like I said, this is all in the agenda packet that was published online. This is part of the resolutions Exhibit A. And so it is accessible, but in terms of answering the question, there's quite a bit of information in here regarding the
18-foot travel lane and 8-foot parking.
So, let me go back there, you guys can read it. I'm sorry, I'm delayed.
Street's probably not 18 feet.
Right, so there it is. They will be submitting public improvement plans for this review. This will be happening, as part of the, following this hearing with approval. This would be the process.
So it's been approved already?
Oh, no, this is the minor conditional use approval.
There's no building permit.
Sorry, let's not do a question and answer because with all the people and everybody had questions, we'd be here for hours and hours. So
All right.
we have all the questions that were raised during the public comment. Now is the time for staff and the applicant and other staff members to respond to the questions that were heard. Like I said, we're trying to maintain decorum here and get out before dinner time. So thank you.
This will be on the net?
This is all available now. It
Thank
was
you.
published previously. Someone mentioned lighting. This is in relation to the private driveway improvements, but in general, projects are conditioned and required to comply with the city's outdoor lighting standards, which have certain levels of luminary and to, reduce glare and shielding. Let's see. It does meet the zoning code parking requirements for a community care facility. That is the 5 parking spaces and it does comply with that. It did screen out. It was reviewed and referred by our traffic division and who also responded. I think a number of you had traffic concerns and I sent you their specific response, but it's screened out. It's to generate under 110 vehicle trips per day, and therefore did not require an additional traffic study. And that's just specifically for this particular project, right? It's being reviewed for this project.
Did that include AM and peak AM?
It did.
Peak and PM peak, do you remember what those
Yes.
numbers were?
I
I believe you've responded to
did,
that,
and let me
but
see.
that was a question that was raised.
Oh, okay. Here we go specifically. Quote, city transportation staff found that the proposed development at 635 Benjamin's Road would not cause a significant increase in traffic because it does not exceed the threshold for the VMT that I just discussed, which is more than 100 in daily trips or more than 50 trips during the AM or PM peak hour. So that was their response to the traffic questions.
Our questions?
And then there was a question about well or city water connection.
Yeah.
Are you able to answer that one, applicant team?
It will be on city water and sewer.
Okay.
It will not be, they will not be drilling a well. The well that's on site will be used for the landscaping.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that was my next question.
Okay, someone was curious about the board and care homes, and so.
Yes.
Hi there. So the residential care facility, that particular name, community care facility, in this case, it would be a residential care facility under the state, licensed by the state. And it's often referred to as assisted living or board and care homes. So those names are interchangeable.
But the board and care isn't.
Sorry, additional follow-up questions can be asked of staff after the meeting.
This is a bunch of bull.
I'm sorry. So then there's another question about, was that state license be required to be elderly residents that need assistance?
And the answer is yes, it's conditioned in the packet that I mentioned here. There is a condition that they would, that specific license, RCFE, residential residential care facility for the elderly, is a requirement of this project that they submit and, that they be licensed, and that required, and it will be elder care.
Okay. And then there's another assertion that there's some sort of gray area with number of beds in a rural residential area.
The residential care, single-family residential is permitted by right, and there is not any bedroom maximum that I'm aware of in the zoning code.
Or state law.
And I hadn't heard of the 1.5. That's not something that we've come across. In the way that it works in our zoning code is 6 or under for a community care facility permitted by right, 7 or more residents, and those are by beds, so 7 or more beds. Let me be more clear there. Required an approval of a minor conditional use permit.
Okay, and then is the applicant familiar with the state law that was claimed about bedroom count in different areas of the city?
No, I wasn't referring to the bed count in certain areas of the city, but there has been comment from the neighborhood about how this is not allowed and that they weren't informed of the lot split, the SB9 lot split. So this has all been going on for several years now as they've moved through the process. There is nothing in the state that says that so many beds are allowed in a community care facility, because a community care facility is not defined that way. What I'm saying is that the city of Santa Rosa unanimously approved community care facilities, and there is no bed count. There is only the minor use permit process that's obligated of anything over 6 beds. The other thing that I think that it's important, because a question came up from the community about, that one of the gentlemen talked about his wife who was in memory care. This is not memory care. This is not skilled nursing. This is, and Kim can speak to that, under the license that they have, they are not allowed to do that. And so this is, and it is also not hospice. There is very likelihood that people who age may have to age out of this facility. They're not there. It's not necessarily end-of-life care, but Kim can speak more to that.
Sure. So the residents that will be there, they're there because they're unable to perform, just everyday things like, making a meal, just getting dressed for the day. So they don't have any medical, they don't have memory care issues. Like Peter said, they won't be on hospice because our staff will just be caregivers. So we are not allowed to, we can't do, we're not allowed to perform any or do anything medical.
So we're gonna walk up and down the street too. Then.
Sorry, sir, please do not comment or engage in a discussion at this time. I understand.
Yeah, so, as their, let's say if their condition gets to that point, then they will have to find a facility that will be able to accommodate and support that. But yeah, so this is just assisted living.
I also think I do want to address comments that came up that were on the list too, about how there was some comment about how these are just being warehoused in little tiny rooms. I think you need to understand that elder care has changed over time. We do memory care facilities too. The idea is that you don't create large bedrooms where people sit in their bedrooms all day long. That's why this has outdoor space. We do not just plant them in a room. There are outdoor space, there are landscaped areas, there are areas for them to go and sit and be quiet and converse the same way you people do in your yards. They're not being warehoused here. That's the whole purpose of this. That's the whole purpose of this community care facility. I'm trying to answer your questions. I'm not trying to get into a debate with you. I really am not.
Answer a question.
You brought these questions up. We are responding to your questions. So that's what I'm trying to do here. There was a question that came up about that this facility should be required to do infrastructure improvements. Well, it is. And yes, it was brought up that we applied for a variance. We applied for a variance because what we were hearing from the community as well was they don't want that there. Now what we're hearing is you should improve the area. So we are. Curb, gutter, sidewalk, planters.
What, in 80 feet of a road, that's half a mile long.
Sir, please do not continue to disrupt the meeting. I appreciate
So
your opinion
we are-
and perspective, but we need to maintain a quorum. Like the applicant said, questions were raised, the applicant has responded to the questions. Everybody will be available for discussion after the meeting, but for the purposes of continuing the meeting, we need to refrain from interjecting and interrupting.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
But he's answering a question that the lady doesn't even live in our neighborhood about improving.
So we're responding to all questions, regardless of where the questioner lives. That's the role of this public process, is to express questions and opinions, and the role of the applicant at this time is to respond to those questions and respond to those concerns. So if you please allow us to proceed, we can all be respectful. Thank you very much.
So the improvements that we're doing are conditioned improvements. They came from the city. We are doing those improvements. There was a question that came from a civil engineer sitting back here saying that he didn't think these had been thought through. Greg Jennings is sitting here. He's the civil engineer for the project. I can guarantee you that all of these things have been looked at and will be continue to be looked at. We don't have a building permit. We don't even have an approval yet through this process. So there is a lot of work that still needs to be done. In terms of the traffic, I hear a lot of subjective stuff about people racing down there. One gentleman said at 10 o'clock at night, it becomes party town through there. This is an assisted living facility. There's going to be no party town at 10 o'clock at night. I'm not sure when visitors aren't even allowed, but it's probably, there's a cutoff time for that. So there won't be any traffic going through there at these times that everybody says that after 7, it becomes like a speedway down there. Those are people who are cutting through your neighborhood. Those aren't the people that are cutting into your neighborhood. I'm assuming that you are not the ones that are speeding. Well, these residents will not be speeding either. I don't know if there's anything else that came up on the list that the applicants
Yeah,
can answer.
question about just plan for visitor parking generally. So, 5 spaces, 4 staff members, that leaves 1. Question, concern of mine is more than 1 visitor at a time. Is that anticipated? And then deliveries as well. What type of vehicles are anticipated to deliver supplies, food, minor medical stuff? So if there's a visitor and there's a delivery, what does that look like on the site?
Yeah, I can answer that. So as far as like family visiting, so they would call before they come over. And then as far as like the 4 parking spaces, so the chef, he's gonna be there Monday through Friday from like 9 to 5. And so after that, it's really just 3 cars.
Deliveries.
So deliveries, we're gonna have groceries delivered, Amazon Fresh, and supplies. I mean, it's no different from having Amazon delivery because that's where we'll be ordering our supplies. So it's no different from UPS and Amazon going through the neighborhood.
Where are they gonna unload?
Okay, sorry, no questions again, please. Thank you. So it's anticipated that the delivery vehicle would occupy a parking space on site.
They would go into the driveway and then probably, drop it off at the front door there and then back
Okay.
out and go.
Okay, understood. And then the clients arriving at the facility, how is that anticipated that the clients would arrive? Would they be driven? Would there be an appointment process? When you get a new client slash resident? Yeah.
So when we,
So you have an empty room and you're filling it with a new resident
yeah.
client. How do they arrive? What does that process look like?
So their family will come and we'll schedule a date for their family to come and then there will be like a move-in date. And so they'll just have, their families will come and help unload, whatever their boxes. Like, move into an apartment,
Okay.
into a room.
And you mentioned there'd be an appointment for that?
Yeah, so they would, the families would call before they would arrive. So that way, we always want to know ahead of time when they're coming.
Okay.
My experience that does not happen.
The fire marshal is here, Paul Lowenthal, and I was hoping he could speak to some of the questions around evacuation and fire.
Yeah, so kind of touch on, there's a lot of touch points that came up with us. One was concerns about medical calls. I think that came from somebody. We have an EMS division, so Santa Rosa Fire has our own paramedics. So as many of you know that have seen our engines respond to the community, we have paramedics on board. We also have the ability to monitor a facility. So if there's just like any other facility in Santa Rosa, if there was an unusual high frequency of calls to a facility, we'd work with that facility and or see what is taking place there to put restrictions in or potentially change practices to address impacts to calls for services. From a permit standpoint, yes, there's requirements from the state. There's also requirements from the fire department. So anytime there's a facility that requires a permit from us, we have a program where we're working with those facilities. We're inside them, we're inspecting them, and we're making sure that they're adhering to the conditions that were provided by us for the occupancy of the facility. Street improvements, this is an area, in fact, I think we met a really long time ago when you built a shop on your property. And so we have projects that take place in communities like this where sometimes they do public improvements and sometimes they don't. We, from the fire department standpoint, benefit from those public improvements because as you have seen, you've got areas of our community that have existing non-conforming streets where today you could not and we would not allow you to build a street like that. We have requirements for how wide the street needs to be for zero parking. To the point that was brought up, how wide we want the streets to be when you're going to have one lane of parking. It used to be until I became the fire marshal that we allowed 6 feet of parking, and I put a stop to that and made parking be 8 feet because we're running into issues where we're having trouble passing. So we will actually benefit from that. Communities like this, where we have what are called potential for infill projects, where we have county islands, we have city islands. We do see a lot of encouragement from what's called LAFCO, where they want to see more of these islands coming into the city. Again, so that when projects like, whether it's a project like this or a project in general, the improvements are made. So it increases pedestrian safety, our ability to get to calls and whatnot. The evacuation standpoint, how many people in this room know what your evacuation zone is?
7 on the wall.
3 people?
Have it on the wall.
I think so.
It's on the wall.
So but we should know that, right? So that's one of the things that we're trying to encourage when we hear people concerned about evacuations. That's always one of my first questions is who knows what their zone is.
How do you find it? That's the problem. You look it up, and you can't find it.
That is inaccurate, and I'll take that on an argument any day. But yes, we have a website that is called srcity.org/evac zone. We've done a lot of work to increase people's awareness of what zone they're in and how we stagger zones and how we've improved our ability to evacuate. How many people in here got stuck in traffic evacuated from the glass fire? Right. How many people went and started heading down Sonoma Highway towards Highway 12? Pretty much ventured to guess almost everybody got onto Highway 12 and started heading towards the core of Santa Rosa. So we have, you went the other way? Good job. You're one of the people that helped us. But one of the things that we've done is we've actually, to improve evacuations on the east side of Santa Rosa to account for any type of a project now, whether it's the new apartments on Calistoga Road that I heard you commenting about at council, whether it's what's going to take place at the Elnoka property. We have to be able to plan and project for increases in residents and traffic in East Santa Rosa. So the one big improvement that we've made for projects in general that take place in East Santa Rosa is we've worked with our Transportation and Public Works Department, and we have now what's called a flush plan, where we are able to now synchronize signals to help get people out of East Santa Rosa much quicker and more efficiently than we could have in the past. The last thing I want to touch on really quickly is the threat to that particular area from a wildfire. Yes, it was under evacuation, but we saw the Tubbs fire, we saw the Glass fire, we saw the Nuns fire. We saw a lack of actual fire activity in that specific area because of the geographical features in that part of Santa Rosa. There's a reason that the Tubbs fire died off in the Badger Road area. I was physically there and watched the fire activity die down. There's a reason that the Glass fire burned the direction it did. And what's really important to notice is that we've actually now seen in the new mapping that's taking place from CAL FIRE and the state and us, the severity of your neighborhood is actually starting to go down. Where we had much high risker areas is now being dropped down. So we're going to be redrawing our wildland urban interface fire areas. And we have no plans of including anything in that specific area from a risk standpoint. So that's just general awareness to help kind of ease some of the concerns. Again, whether it's, and again, I'm from the area. I grew up in Bennett Valley. My sister actually lives probably about a quarter mile, half mile for this project. So I know the area. I grew up here. But I also just want to provide you with factual information based on some of the things that I've heard kind of mentioned today. I miss anything? I talk a lot. A lot of you guys know me, so I can go on.
Thank you. Could you repeat the website or resources that people should access to learn about their evac zones and all the improvements and?
Yeah, so it's srcity.org/wildfire ready. And on the Wildfire Ready website is links to everything from evac zones to evacuation checklists to know your alerts, so that we're all kind of doing our part to be better prepared.
And is there like a general phone number line in case we're not online?
Yes, so you can call our fire department's main number at 707-543-3500. And I'm joined here by two of our assistant fire marshals, Kemplin Robbins and Jared McDaniels. We have three assistant fire marshals that work under me, and the fact that all three of us are here, I mean, the city does care. We're here to listen. We're here to hear the feedback, but we're also here to make sure that whether it's this project or any project in general is complying with our codes and our conditions.
Thank you. I would genuinely love to reopen public comment to specifically have these three folks in the hot seat, but I think for the sake of continuing the public review process of this project and out of respect for our fire staff members, I will offer them the opportunity to conduct that on their own terms. I'm sure they are more than happy to provide their contact information to you all so you can learn your evac zones and learn about the improvements the city has made regarding emergency preparedness and evacuation since 2017 and subsequent fire events. Appreciate those comments. That kind of addressed the some of the infrastructure and wildfire questions that were raised. Yes.
And on the evacuation, I just want to say that this building is it will be a modern 2022 building code building. It will be fire sprinkled, it'll be fire hardened. It will meet all requirements.
But when they have the evacuation.
I'm just speaking to the facility itself. We are doing everything that we can to make this the safest facility in your neighborhood. So that's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Paul. Okay. I was going to ask about.
Yeah, I get your name. I pause. Thank you.
Recourse for reporting serial speeding to the police department, but I heard from our gentleman in the back there that that already has been attempted. So I guess I would just encourage continued outreach and persistency there, I suppose. There's a question about cohabitation, double occupancy, and pets. Has there been any consideration of those factors?
It's just going to be one resident per room. And if it's a couple, then, our facility is not for them. They should probably, find another facility that can accommodate couples. But for our home, it's only one resident per room. Yeah, and then as far as pets, probably not gonna allow pets.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. The 8-foot parking area on the street, am I correct in assuming that that would be public parking on the street? How many spaces? If so,
There's 2 parking spaces.
2 parking spaces on the street as a result of the public improvements required for this project. Okay, thank you. Staff, I'm wondering if you could kind of distinguish design review and the use permit and what types of findings are made for the design review of a new structure, and if these types of facilities are subject to design review in this zone. And then separately, kind of like I said, distinguishing what we're required to find in order to review a use permit versus a design review. Just to kind of give more context to my question, we're hearing a lot about like fitting into the neighborhood in terms of like architecture and these types of things. Where really the use is really what's up for consideration today.
Yeah, I second what Administrator McKay said in terms of the minor conditional use permit. It is very specific to the community care facility. And there's very specific findings in that regard. There is some level of, there's one finding question, that has to do sort of and it's a general on design, location, size, and operating characteristics are compatible. In that it's a single family residence and a single family residential zone allowed, single family. But in general, the questions are in regards to the parking for the use. They're related to the use. And so that's compatibility around the zoning and the general plan, which we discussed. It's also compatibility around concentration, and not within 300 feet of other community care facilities. That the parking is based in the code and the parking and loading standards is specific to the community care facility. That's where the parking standard is coming from. That the that the project is going to be required to comply with the noise ordinance. That it's reviewed to ensure that it's not a nuisance or injurious. It's supports the public interest, health, safety, convenience, welfare. Let's see, that it's in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. And design review is actually not part of this feature. It's, the design review is a separate process whereby you would look at it from the design vantage point. Design does affect all buildings. We were able to visualize them and able to see what they look like, but this is not a design review process. This is the minor conditional use process for the community care facility.
Okay, thank you. And then I heard also questions and concerns just about public noticing and just communication about the project as well. What public noticing was distributed at what points?
Absolutely. So originally this was scheduled for the 12/4 zoning administrator meeting. That requires 10 days, at minimum 10 days prior noticing be sent out to all neighbors within 600 feet. Those were the postcard mailers that each of you likely received. In that is specified that a more formal public hearing can be requested in writing, to which the project did receive. That first off continued the project to today's meeting. So we wanted to schedule it as quickly as possible if we were able to. And then it had some additional requirements. It required a notice in the Press Democrat. It required a revised postcard, to which I'm assuming many of you received as well. And it required the 6-foot sign that was installed in front of the property. All of that needed to go out 10 days prior as well to ensure that there was as much noticing as possible. And then in the meeting on 12/4, zoning administrator McKay did mention that it had been continued, and we provided the date that it was continued to, which was today's date at 12/18. In terms of noticing the SB9, the lot split that happened in 2023 that allowed for this creation of this new fronted parcel that abuts the street. As I stated, that is a state mandated law, and that does not require public hearings or noticing, and it's a ministerial review as long as the project meets all of the conditions.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other responses to anything that I may have missed? Or if the applicant wants to make any further comments or.
I think we've covered everything.
Okay.
I believe that's it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, I, like many of you have shared today, I share concerns about location, traffic, parking. But as has been explained today, the planning commission and the city council both said we want community care facilities of this scale to be allowed in residential, including rural residential neighborhoods, subject to permitting requirements. So, you know, it's not always going to be a perfect fit, but I think a lot of people could make the argument that no place is a perfect fit for this type of facility. These are needed facilities, especially established by the general plan, which encourages resources and housing and services for our aging population. Traffic, I understand as well. It makes me feel slightly better that these folks will not be driving. The visitor delivery thing seems to make sense to me on its face. I think I would be interested in a condition about visitors being conditioned to make an appointment prior to arriving. And I would go as far as to say that you would only be allowed to have one appointment at a time. Would that be an agreeable condition?
You know, I have a comment about that.
Janice, I'm sorry, there's no, you can
That's
comment
not a
with the
good thing to
team
ask.
after the meeting, but at this time, their public comment period is closed. And then I think also a condition that I would suggest and include would be that the deliveries be limited 1 hour on each end, as is explained in the project narrative. So I think it says 8 to 6 now. I'd like to cut that out from peak morning school trips or post-work time to 9 to 5. Would that be?
So we're gonna be ordering from Amazon, and Amazon can come anytime during the day, sometimes super early, sometimes late at night. So it really, I mean, we can't really control like when Amazon comes.
Understood. Okay. That is unfortunate, but I understand. Okay, so did you kind of get the first condition that they
I did.
were?
One appointment at a time one visitor at a time by appointment.
Could I just ask a
That's
question about
impossible
that?
to,
We have guests.
They can talk, right?
Why is he talking?
Yeah, they can talk, right?
Yeah.
They can
The
talk.
applicant is.
I am the applicant.
They asked you to talk.
I am the applicant.
I'm sorry, here.
Conditions being imposed on our
Mr. Stanley,
project.
Mr. Stanley. I know a lot of us are not familiar with public processes, and the public processes can be very painful, especially when we're new to them. Trust me. Yes, so this is the time for staff and the zoning administrator and the applicant to discuss the project in light of public comments that were received, response to public comments, staff response to those comments, and opposing changes or what we call conditions of approval, which were not part of the original project description, that are intended to minimize or address the concerns or respond to the questions and further reduce the impact of the proposal to the community. So that is what is happening right now. I understand that it's frustrating that it's not more of an open dialogue, which I would personally love, but unfortunately, the public process requires us to be conducted in this way. So, I'm sorry, but please.
So I would ask that the condition that's being imposed on the project be that the guest parking, that you can have as many guests as you have guest parking for. If the parking is being filled and there's only one spot, then one person would be allowed to come, one visitor would be able to come. But if we've got 3 or 4 parking spaces sitting empty all day long,
How could you have that when you have
then
four
why would we
employees?
restrict the condition to just one visitor at a time?
Are those spaces not for
How would
employees?
Please, how would you
Support space.
manage, or how would we include in a condition, 2 crew might carpool one day? How does that work? I generally don't like to impose conditions that are unenforceable.
Well, even the one visitor is kind of unenforceable in a sense. Essentially, you're trusting in the management of the project to do that way. And even when Paul Lowenthal was talking, he's like, if there's an issue that arises out of the operation of this that's in violation of a condition, then the city has every right to come in and impose additional conditions or remedies.
Right, but I think if we were to continue that argument, I would say all conditions are relatively unenforceable. So I guess I shouldn't say unenforceable, I should be prohibitively difficult to enforce.
Right.
I think 2 of your staff members carpooled, now we have 1 space, now we can have 2 visitors. Is somebody driving by being like, is that a crew car or is that a visitor car? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you'll never know that because.
Well, there'd be a visitor parking space marked. Is that
They need
correct?
more spaces, that's what they need.
They are not individually marked.
Okay, well, I think it's part of this condition that
you would do that.
I would.
Okay, are you okay with that? So there will be a visitor parking space, there'll be 1, is what you're saying?
Yes.
And it'll be marked. Okay.
Are we okay with this?
I have a question about, like, let's say holidays, for example. If all the families want to, if we invite them for like a Thanksgiving dinner or something.
Right, no, I understand. So what would be the plan for parking in that case?
It's no different from any of the other homes. It's for that one evening. If they have to, then, wherever there's parking down the road for that one evening.
There isn't a parking.
No way. You're not parking on any of our properties. Not near my house. Not on any of our properties.
Okay, please.
How come they get?
I'm trying to work this out.
Weekend?
I'm trying to work this out. I understand.
And then we also have our back property. So we're planning to remove the garage in the back house. So we're gonna provide any overflow will also go to the back house. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Okay, that was not part of what I reviewed.
That's a separate.
Very unclear,
Yeah, having
not
that
very
parking
transparent.
in back.
I think it would be helpful to have known that and know how many parking spaces would be made available for overflow parking. Just for.
But I'm just thinking about, like the holidays, because
Right.
it
No, I
would be
understand.
nice to have, invite the families.
We're
but it was-
thinking about every day.
Yeah, because our families come, but they park. on our property.
Please, I really, really want to continue with this process. If we continue to have interruptions, we'll have to kick the can further down, reschedule the meeting and do this whole thing over again. And I really don't want to have to do that. I want to make the decision here and move the process forward. And the interruptions are not contributing to that outcome.
Can we
So-
appeal this if you?
Yes, as mentioned in the beginning of this process, every determination decision by the zoning administrator can be appealed if the appeal is received within 10 calendar days. And
Goes to the planning commission.
there has been no decision made, obviously, but you would reach out to Hannah, the project planner, with information about that. Okay. So for the purposes of this is there overflow parking in the rear? Is there a shared parking agreement? Or is that just not something that we should be considering this time?
I don't think it's something we should be considering. It's not even a for sure. I mean, it may be that that these residents go to their families for Thanksgiving. I mean, it's not a given that 15 families are going to show up. The other thing to remember, these are public streets. So yes, if there's no parking, then you're not going to park on the street. But the roads in front of your street, in front of your houses are public. If there's a parking space there, I understand, and I prefaced this by saying that if there's no parking on the street, then nobody will be parking there. There are now there will be two public parking spaces in front of our property. That is mandated by the city. That will be built out. If a couple blocks away, there is street parking and somebody can go do that, the same as any other resident in the neighborhood can go park there. But I don't think we should impose a condition on a potentiality that may never occur.
Right.
Well, she just said she
Understood.
was gonna have
Okay,
it
so
already.
what was
She did say
the
that.
what was the condition that you suggested in response to the condition that I was thinking of?
The condition for
Was a limiting visitors depending on parking spaces. Are you not?
Yeah, no, we agreed. So if there will be one marked visitor parking space and visitors will be by an appointment. And so it'll be one appointment at a time.
Okay. That. And so I think what we had already
Originally.
plus the marking.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Literally
How do we
everybody.
know
I
when-
appreciate y'all.
Are we
But
done
as
with questions?
as I kind of already kind of deliberated on, as much as it can be difficult for areas that generally don't see development activity of this nature in their areas for quite some time, similar to the questions that the fire marshal, or the response that the fire marshal had about county islands and how the county agency that regulates incorporation of county islands into the city, part of their goals are to provide services and improvements. And I think a lot of the issues that I've heard today are because of a lack of those services and those improvements and that infrastructure. I'd feel a lot less heartbroken about this if Benjamin's Road was fully constructed to the standard that the applicant is being required to construct the street frontage to, as was described and shared on the screen, with the street standard of street parking and a wider street and a sidewalk and a planter. Like I said, the objective of the county agency for annexation wants those types of services to be provided and built throughout our community. And unfortunately, that generally happens on a piecemeal approach with these types of projects until a larger overall capital improvement is made on behalf of the city. So I would share your desire for that type of build out to be made as part of investment in the future for Benjamin's Road. So it would, be a little bit more palatable to have these types of uses in the neighborhood. But as has been mentioned, City Council has prioritized and encouraged senior resources and housing and facilities all throughout the city, all types of neighborhoods, including for neighborhoods in former county islands and in rural residential areas. So with that, with the condition about visitor parking in the visitor space and their visitor being by appointment and there being one appointment at a time, I will approve the project. Please note, as mentioned, this approval is subject to an appeal process. The request for an appeal must be received within 10 calendar days. You can reach out to Hannah, who has a stack of business cards on her computer right now that I'm sure if you don't already have her contact information from the postcards and from previous correspondence, she will provide you with her business card. Okay, Thank you, everybody.
Bend over and show
The
it.
date is, is the 29th. The appeal deadline is the 29th, and the meeting is adjourned.
We're actually not. I'm calling us dumb and saying